This is Jackie, and I'm here with JT of Hawthorne Heights. Day, I don't know, 817 of Vans Warped Tour, it feels like sometimes, right?
It's all the same day to us.
A little Groundhog Day.
We know that we're done on August 6th, and we got to drive from Pomona to Dayton, Ohio. And I get 9 days off. I'm waiting for them.
Have you already filled in your mind what those 9 days are going to be like?
We're probably going to be rehearsing for another tour. We leave for Australia like in 9 days after that, so we'll be rehearsing.
Quite busy year for you guys. The last time we chatted was Zoomies Couch Tour. You said 2008 about?
8 or 9, something like that. It's all the same year, too.
The scene was a little bit different, but I also feel like in the same aspect, it's kind of come right back around.
Sure.
It changed for a little
Renaissance.
bit. Thanks, Emo Night. I don't know.
Yeah.
I blame them in the best way possible, I guess.
For
that,
sure.
that, you know, that the scene is coming back. You guys have been together for well over 15 years. What do you attribute to your longevity?
Trying not to be mean to each other, to be honest with you. You have to be able to get along with the people that you work with. But most importantly, you have to believe in what you're doing. So, you know, when we see our fans come up and say, this song changed my life, or this song got me through this, or I love your new music, those are all catalysts for pushing you forward in your own mind and in your songwriting and in your business. So, like, but mainly you have to be able to get along with the people that you spend 24 hours a day with out here. And we do. We still get along really well.
That's good, because I could not imagine being on a tour bus with people you don't like. I think that's a good tip. How has your sound evolved over those years?
We're probably bad to ask because we think that when we write a song, it sounds like a Hawthorne Heights song. Like, it's always been my vocals, always been my lyrics, and we always try to write a heavy-ish sounding song with melody lines and, you know, stuff like that. We just wanted to sound powerful, melodic, and have a little bit of, just a little taste of hardcore with mostly like kind of punk and emo elements. But if you ask like our fans, they'll be like, how come that album sounds like this and that? And we're like, we have no idea what you're talking about. Because it's always like the eye of the beholder thing, you know what I mean? We're not like, we didn't say, hey, let's release that jazz album or something like that, you know what I mean? For us, they sound like Hawthorne Heights songs. Evolved, I think we've become more cognizant songwriters in what we feel we do well and what we don't do well and which boundaries we can push and, more importantly, which boundaries we want to push, stuff like that. We've become better at that, and we've become better communicators within ourselves and within our band. That's more important than songwriting. So that way when you tell somebody, hey man, that riff kind of sucks, you don't say it. You know to not say it that way. You know to kind of tweak it a little bit.
A little gentler.
Yeah, you don't want to shut anybody down because it's hard to write a part and it's hard to write a song and it's hard to paint a picture, so everybody's got their own place.
And that said, how do you go about choosing your set for Warped Tour?
Fans. We are 100%, we pride ourselves on being a fan-friendly band because we wrote all these songs. It seems very arrogant for me to choose what I want to play of my own music. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, what songs get the best reactions? What songs do they sing the loudest? We'll play those because they want to hear those. They know the words. They can move around. It's all about giving somebody a half hour to turn their brain off and take them away from whatever bad might be going on in their life and to just give them a half hour of rest to like just throw it all out there and to just have fun.
I like that. How can we use music in 2017 when it feels like there's just so much going on and we're being overwhelmed? How can we use music as sort of that outlet?
I think that there's something out there for everybody. Really, there's always been all this music. It's just now we have more access to it and easier access to it. So my advice is to find something but actually give it the chance. So like if somebody wrote an album, listen to that whole album 5 to 10 times because I bet you'll find different perspectives and I bet you'll fall in love with different sections of the album different times. Our problem now is we can access too much so we don't know what is good, what we like, and what we don't like because we have access to everything. So take a step back, listen to a couple different bands a week. You'll find something you'll fall in love with. You'll find something that gets you through a hard time. You'll find something that makes you want to dance and party. There's good stuff out there. I always tell people, like, your parents aren't the only ones who got the brilliant classic rock songwriters and stuff. That stuff is still happening, and it's up to you to make us all classic rock. Because are you still, like 25 years from now, are you going to be listening to the Eagles? The Eagles are great, but we are your Eagles.
Right.
So allow all these bands to have their longevity in listening to new music and stuff like that.
I think you spoke about access. Perhaps you and I might be of the old school mantra where you go out and you buy a tangible CD and you do listen to it 5 to 10 times
Sure.
to get a really good idea of it. What do you think of like streaming sites and sort of the role they play in music in this sort of era?
If I could have anything to actually do with it, I would say I would prefer people to purchase physical music because of the relationship that it creates with that. When I was growing up, I would have to go mow 3 lawns to go and buy the one punk rock CD within 30 miles of my small West Virginia town. And that is what pushed me into music and made me fall in love with it, because if I spent my literal hard-earned money, I would give it a chance. Now, they're not all winners, but I would listen to it and listen to it and listen to it until finally I could be like, you know what, I just chose wrong on this one. You know, but I wouldn't be like, listen to it one time through and be like, all right, this is over. For better or for worse, this was good, man, maybe not. So, that being said, I understand the climate that we're in. It's all about having access to a lot of stuff. And for $9.99, you can have literally almost every song ever made. I think it should almost be mandatory because of how great that deal is. So imagine, and people would be like, nah, I'm not into that, I'm not doing that. I'm like, for $10, that's like 2 cups of coffee if you go to Starbucks. You know what I mean? To have hard-earned work, every single, like, album, it's crazy to me. But I think it's cool. I think it does give a lot of access to bands that maybe wouldn't have got access to. It gives, it can be liberating for people to be like, I don't even really need to sign to a label if I don't want to, because I can upload my own stuff to Spotify and I'll have the audience, and if I can get people to go there and listen to my music, that's great. So I think it's cool.
It does seem to help bands on the rise
Sure.
have access
It's
to a
just
much broader audience.
It's just a different way to do it, really. Like, I think one of the main problems with the music industry is people are afraid to adapt to change, and they don't do it until it's too late. Like, I remember when, in the early 2000s, people were like, iTunes, they're never going to stop buying CDs. Let's just give all this stuff to iTunes. But really, instead of we need to all be innovating, finding what's after streaming.
Right.
We have to embrace streaming, but what's coming next? And I think that that's something that the music industry kind of struggles on. Like, the film industry is like, no way, this movie costs $150 million to make. We have it on lockdown.
You're buying a ticket,
Yes,
you're going.
You're going to, because we got to be able to recoup it, or we can't make any more movies. And I think one of the misconceptions is that musicians want all this money. Nobody wants anything other than like what we paid to create it. Studio fees are expensive, stuff like that. So it's not even like, buy my music. It's like, at least give me the access to like continue to make more music, and we'll all be happy.
Let's break me even.
Yes,
And-
let us break even, please.
Diversifying seems to be something that's really important in 2017.
Sure.
Tell me about the TEI workshop that you're doing.
Those things are cool because the one thing that we wanted to do is Warped Tour, like, it's not like a traditional VIP setting where you can sell your own ticketing and stuff like that. So I think it's really cool that they even give us an opportunity, partnered with TEI. Tickets are super cheap. For a VIP experience, you get to spend 45 minutes with one of your favorite bands for $25. So cheap. You get to sit under a tent, hang out, have a in-depth conversation or casual conversation. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing. Ours is about the history of Hawthorne Heights and how it's been able to help us get through dark times in our personal lives. So, like, we tried to let people know that, like, well, we've been through all this, and this, and we're in, like, a band that you know, so we know you guys go through hard things. But let me show you how we were able to persevere through a lot of different things just by focusing on the greater side of things instead of the one thing that went wrong in your day.
I like that you like to focus on the positive. What's
Have to.
You do. You
Have
really
to.
do have to. What's up next after Warped Tour?
9 days off, as I mentioned, and then we go to Australia for we're doing 8 shows, going to New Zealand, and then we got a couple festivals, but we'll be working on our new record, getting into the studio, and figuring out when we want to release it and stuff like that.
Doesn't stop. Always busy.
No
It's
sleep.
better to keep busy than to be bored, though, right?
100%. No sleep till Dayton.
No sleep till Dayton. You heard it here first. This is Hawthorne Heights, and I'm Jackie from 1 Avenue and Chorus FM.